You got in a little bit of heat
Mm-hmm.
from mom about, you know, your trauma comment.
Oliver Hudson is setting the record straight. The 47-year-old son of Goldie Hawn and brother to Kate Hudson is clarifying previous comments he made on his Sibling Revelry podcast, in which he said he felt unprotected at times during his childhood.
My mother was the one that came up the most. My mother was the one that I had almost the most trauma about, interestingly enough, because she was my primary caregiver and I was with her all of the time. So I felt unprotected at times. She would be working in a way, or she had new boyfriends that I didn't really like. She'd be living her life, and she was an amazing mother. This was my own perception as a child who didn't have a dad and who needed her to be there.
The comments were made as Oliver had revealed that he attended a course called the Hoffman Institute, a week-long retreat he described as unpacking the patterns from his parents and step-parents. But now, Oliver is clearing the air about what he meant, sharing with his famous sister during their April 1st episode of their joint podcast that he went on what he called an apology tour.
You got in a little bit of heat
Mm-hmm.
from mom about, your trauma comment
Yeah.
because it became a clickbait headline versus a context of what you were saying.
If you listen to the whole thing, it's more about sort of my child feelings in that moment rather than me and how I feel about mom as a parent. I don't know who I would be without my mother. I mean, I really, I can't even fathom it.
Oliver continued to speak about his admiration for Goldie.
The love that I have for her and the respect and the reverence that I have for her is beyond anything. So it was just, completely taken out of context.
Kate also shared her reaction to first hearing her brother's comments when she was absent from hosting that episode.
I start seeing all the clips and I'm like, oh God, Oliver, this is going to be a headline. And I knew it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, God, you used such clickbait words. Like I'm like, I can't leave my brother alone for a second.
The sibling spoke about how a choice of words can inflame everything.
I think it's words like trauma. You're right. It's like you say that word
Yeah.
and immediately it inflames everything. There was no trauma coming from my mother's, up the way she raised me in any way whatsoever. You're speaking from a 5, 6-year-old perspective. That's what I was doing. Without her, again, I'd be nothing.